Hey guys, doing a battle report. We have the cobbled together Space Marine force that went against the Necrons a couple weeks ago, coming up against Grey Knights. So if we're continuing kind of a narrative, the idea is that they were victorious against the Necrons, but somehow the Necrons gave them some sort of machine disease or whatever you want to call it, and the Grey Knights now have to come in and purge the Space Marines because they're going to become evil later or something. That's a cool idea. But anyway, let's go over the list real quick. So we have a tactical squad, regular nameless chapter here, and we have a ultramarine sergeant leading him. We have a second tactical squad, a nameless chapter. These guys are the non-metallic metal guys that I showed off earlier. They're really well painted. Love them. There's a full 10-man squad of that and a dreadnought for sale. Some Crimson Fist Terminators, including a sergeant, a chain fist, and the Cyclone missile launcher. 5 Ultramarine Vanguard vets. The leader has a relic blade. We're bringing counts as Lysander guy, and then a librarian. Librarian's an epistolatory, so he gets to cast 2 spells. He's got the Gate of Infinity and the Vortex of Doom. Then we got a full 10-man squad of Terminators that are Ultramarines. And a lot of these guys are come from Space Hulk. So they got the dynamic posing and stuff, but really well painted and stuff. And then also their heavy choices in transports are Imperial Fists. So we've got the Vindicator, a Rhino, Razorback, and a Venerable Dreadnought. Here's the table we're playing on. So these guys were on some other planet and the Grey Knights caught up with them or something. So we'll probably do a combination of objectives and kill points, kind of just something for fun. Playing with Dave again.
Hi everybody.
And he's setting up his Grey Knight force. Tell me what you got, Dave.
Okay, so this is the Studio Grey Knight Army.
The Azure Knights.
And it has a list, but I tweaked it a little bit. But I'm leading the force with a Grey Knight Grandmaster, and because of the points and the way I did it, he has probably all of the tricks. He's got blind grenades, rad grenades, Imperium brain mines, psychotrope grenades, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, digital weapons, and something else.
He's a nasty thing to be in close combat with.
I would have loved to have given him a psi cannon to take advantage of his ballistic skill, but alas, it's not to be. The Vindicator Assassin, I think he's a ton of fun, so we're going to bring him. We have 3 units of Terminators. They can either be Terminators or Paladins. I think I'm going to get more bang for my buck in this size of a list going with Terminators. I get that many more guys. They're not quite as awesome as Paladins, but then again, you're running a lot of stuff with Power Fists, which would make
Paladins cry.
Make all the Paladins just go away, and it would put me down on points. This way, they're a scoring unit and still nasty. They're Terminators. So I have 3 units armed as shown with a variety of weapons. I brought the Nemesis Dread Knight with the heavy Gatling cannon and the great sword, and since I had the points for it, I also made him fly. So that's that. And then this is, I'm using it as a purgation squad.
Okay.
So that they can benefit from some of the extra stuff with their heavy weapons. And I gave them the Razorback with the Psi-Bolt ammunition for the heavy bolter, since 5 points to go up 1 strength point is
kind of a no-brainer.
A must-have. And then this is a full 10-man Purifier squad, and they get the other Razorback. And to round out my points, I've got a Storm Raven armed as shown with a teleport homer on it. It's also worth pointing out that this guy also has a teleport homer.
Okay, cool. We will figure out the objectives and we'll come back to roll. Okay, so terrain, we're gonna call the hills here with the pillars on it, we're gonna call that area terrain, right?
Ruins, yeah.
Ruins, so it will be difficult terrain. And we're gonna probably call these guys going over them difficult terrain. And then this guy maybe not. but a cover if you're behind it for infantry.
Right.
And then we've got 3 objectives. The one in the center is going to be worth 3 points, and each of these guys are going to be worth 2 points if you control them at the end of the game. And otherwise, we're doing kill points. So this would be worth, if you control it, it'd be worth 3 kill points, 2 kill points, 2 kill points. So it's a little bit, doing something a little bit combination, a little bit weird. And then Dave, you want to roll for a deployment type? That will be Dawn of War, which is actually perfect. I kind of wanted to talk about it. One of the things that a lot of people don't play often is Dawn of War because it's kind of annoying and people don't know how to make it work. Dawn of War can work for you, and especially if you have a balanced army, you can make Dawn of War really advantageous to you. So let's go ahead and roll off, Dave.
Okay.
And see who gets to choose. I'm probably not going to. Grey Knights. Grey Knights are going to go first or second.
Let's see. Half my force.
First or second, of course, means that he has to deploy first, of course.
What you got? I'll let you shoot at it.
So he's trying to decide. Now, one of the things that you got to remember about Dawn of War is the first turn is night fight.
I'll go first. I'll take this side. It's where I'm at.
All right, so Dave's taking first turn. So he has a 24-inch deployment zone, so half the table. He can only deploy 1 troop or 2 troops and 1 HQ. So he could deploy his Grandmaster, and he could deploy up to 2 of his troops, which are the Terminator squads.
Yeah.
So he can't. Now, if he had, for instance, say that these guys right here were a strike force, so they were a troop choice rather than purifiers, he could deploy them and their dedicated transport, but that would take up both of the slots for Dawn of War. That's an important thing to remember when you decide to bring something that has a dedicated transport and are in the dedicated transport. The dedicated transport does count as one of your 2 troop choices that get to be deployed. Now you don't have to deploy anything. It says may deploy. And then the other thing that you need to do is you need to differentiate whether or not something is coming in by walking on turn 1, which is what happens with Dawn of War. You walk on your force starting turn 1, or if it's going to arrive via deep strike or outflank or something out like that, because he does have some options there. He could bring the Terminators in via deep strike, and he can also bring the Storm Raven in deep striking. But probably what he's going to do, because deep strike is not, in a situation like this, you're not always sure you're going to get what you need in when you need it. So he's probably just going to bring the whole force in, starting on turn 1. At least I assume so. Am I wrong? The one thing he has to think about is whatever he can deploy these 2 units of Terminators up close, but once they're on the table, they just have to walk at that point. So the third group of Terminators could be inside the Storm Raven, for instance, and thus allowing them mobility. But if he doesn't decide to run it that way, then he's probably going to want to deep strike these guys. And he did bring some teleport homers for them to be able to deep strike within 6 inches of either this thing or these guys, so they don't scatter.
You know what? I am going to deploy both of these 2 troops choices and my 1 HQ, and then I will, and that's not where they're going to go, but I will deploy them. And then I'm also going to, everything else I'm pretty sure is just going to come on this board edge turn 1, and I'm going to basically not even use my teleport homers, I've decided, in this scenario.
Probably.
I brought them, if this was a tournament list, which is what I usually try to bring, I build all my lists that way because I play a lot of tournaments. I would still do it that way because you never know what kind of scenario. It's all about matchups. Your army could completely destroy, you know, other Space Marines perhaps, or Orcs or something, but have a hard time with Tau or IG, an army that can outshoot it, and maybe you need to change your tactics where deep strike becomes an option, something you're trying to look into doing.
Right, you want to be able to get across the table more quickly.
And so, with that being said, yeah.
I'm going to deploy right up the center
but
there.
for this game, I brought the teleport homers, but I'm actually not going to use them.
When do you roll the grand strategy? Is it right now?
At the beginning of the game.
Beginning of the game.
So gonna put these models down, and then well, here I'll roll the how many
grand strategy, or how many
units. It's a D3.
So 3 units are affected by the grand strategy, which is a thing that a grandmaster can bring that allows them to give extra options to those units. You know, some of them. The big popular one is to make more troop choices. This is mostly a kill point game. There are 3 objectives, but it's mostly a kill point game, so he might go for one of those other options.
I'm gonna go with counterattack, and I'm going to give it to all 3 units of Terminators.
All 3 units of Terminators now have counterattack, so it's good to know. That means that they'll take a leadership check when they are charged, and if they pass it, then they count as charging as well, basically. So they get the extra attack from charging. So that's pretty gross. The cobbled together Space Marine force has its work cut out for it. That's for certain. Now, one of the things he's doing here is he's got his guys set up both for the fact that they're going to be closer to my table edge, closer to where I come in, but also they're going to be, they're therefore taking advantage of they're trying to make up for the fact that they now are going to lack a lot of mobility. You know, they're just going to be able to move and run or move and charge. But also, I cannot set up within 18 inches of them if I choose to set up anything on the first or during deployment, which I'm actually not going to deploy anything. So I suppose I will attempt to seize the initiative, and then.
What is your stuff coming in? Is it?
It's all going to walk on.
Okay.
Everything will walk on. I did not seize the initiative, so Dave's going to do his first turn. Okay. So we'll let him do that, and we'll come back. Okay, so one of the things that's kind of interesting right now about the Grey Knight Codex that I don't know if they've fixed, because I haven't looked at, I don't know if they've made a more current FAQ on it or not, but if the Dread Knight takes a personal teleporter, which I've got right here, if I can get the book to open while I'm holding the camera, it says right here, this works like the Interceptor personal teleporter, and that's referring, of course, to you may take a personal teleporter for 75 points. Now, if you go to 2028, what that says is personal teleporter. Units with this personal teleporter are jump infantry. Once per game, the unit may elect to make a teleport shunt instead of moving. If making a teleport, so basically, the point of that is what it's going to do is once per game, he gets to jump 30 inches or whatever, as well as count as jump infantry rather than just regular infantry. So, being that if you take a personal teleporter on a Dread Knight, ergo, he becomes jump infantry, ergo, jump infantry fit into a Storm Raven at 2 spots, taking up two of his 12 slots. So, and I believe the fact didn't say you couldn't do that, but it just is a little bit weird.
That's not, my question was, I was under the impression that the Dread Knight basically counts as a Dreadnought.
Right.
And Storm Ravens can haul Dreadnoughts.
Right.
I don't have a lot of experience with Grey Knights myself, just what I've played against them. And I never really looked that closely at the book. So I'm gonna say, or I know I've played against people who did haul Dread Knights around in their Storm Ravens. I never actually looked to see if that was something they could do. I just kind of took it for granted that they could because it's basically a big Dreadnought. For the sake of make sure to do this 100% on the up and up, just in case I don't want to haul him around in the Storm Raven if he can't actually fit in there. I'm just not going to. I'm going to teleport him around. He couldn't join the Storm Raven right now anyway, even if we did the whole, well, now technically he's jump infantry thing.
Because
it's full of Terminators and he's not an independent character, so he couldn't join them.
Right.
So he's just going to come onto the table. He's going to use his 30-inch shunt move right now, because there's no point in waiting. He can't assault after he does it. And I certainly plan on him hammering people as quickly as possible. So we'll put him about right there. It's pretty good. I could go a little further, but I'm happy with that distance.
Don't want to necessarily put him in a situation where he could get charged.
Right about there is pretty good. So,
okay.
That's my initial move for everything that came onto the board. This didn't get stuck. This is fun. This is a road. And on page 57, there's something nobody ever uses, but if you move at cruising speed down a road, you can go an extra 6 inches. So I got to go 18 inches with this Razorback down the road. By the way, the Purifier squad is combat squad, and half of them are in here. The other half are running on here.
Vindicare's hanging out over there.
Vindicare walked on here. This thing, even though it looks like it didn't go that far, actually went 24 inches, so I could benefit from what I did is I came on here and flew at an angle like this so that I could get my distance to get my cover saves, because I do play Blood Angels a lot and I like Storm Ravens, but I hate it when they get shot down on the first turn and all of the juicy goodness inside has to spend several turns trying to catch up to the rest of the army. So
yes,
I put it back here.
Fun.
I put it back here where hopefully with Night Fight, Thomas doesn't shoot it down right on the very first turn.
Right. Not only that, but it will also get a cover save, even if I do get to see it.
Right, and that's the thing.
That's
that's why it's not so far forward, but that's why I went like that with it. So now I just need to move these 2 units that were already here, and we can go to the shooting phase. So the stairs are not difficult terrain, so these guys get to move. These guys, there's the difficult terrain roll. They'll go 4 inches.
Okay.
So we're gonna shuffle forward just a little bit more. We're gonna kind of stay in the cover here, I think.
It's a good thing they have to remember to stay in cover because they only have a 5-up invuln.
If they get shot.
If they get shot. If they're in close combat, every one of them that has a sword counts as having a 4-up invuln. But that is the one thing that the regular Grey Knights didn't receive was storm shields.
They got warding staves instead.
Yes, warding staves are good, but you can only have it on one model.
Yeah, but he's an annoying model.
Yes, he is. He usually is the last guy alive.
All right, and on to the shooting phase. Since Thomas doesn't have anything for me to shoot, I'm going to run this squad, 5 inches. I'm going to run the Vindicare Assassin, 2. I could have wished for better. And I'm going to run these guys, 6. And what the heck? I'm going to run them and them as well. So 3 and that's a 2.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and adjust those, and
It'll be my turn.
it's Thomas's turn 1, and everything rolls on his edge.
Cool. We'll go to that point. We'll come back. All right. So I came in this corner here, and this is a pretty standard tactic in 40K. The one advantage I had, he got first turn, which means that in a regular game he would have got to shoot first as well. Because of the fact that I wasn't on the table, he didn't. But Night Fight's in effect, so any firing that I'm going to do at him probably is going to be minimally effective if I even get to see anything. So he's going to get the first turn of shooting that is clear in the open. But I came in here largely because of the way he's set up. If I came in on this corner, for instance, or spread out, that would give him the first opportunity to charge. And he already is going to have the initiative in a lot of cases. Again, pretty much all my Terminators are going to be at initiative 1 because they all have power fists. He's got, I mean, it's really, I've got kind of an uphill battle as far as initiative goes. So I don't want to give him the charge if I don't have to. Now he does have counterattack on these guys, which kind of takes away from it, but better that I charge and get an extra attack than he charge and I don't get an extra attack. Also, I have a little bit more ranged shooting than he does. A lot of his weapons are 24-inch range. He's got a las cannon here that's 48-inch range, but this guy's 24 inches, 24 inches. All the storm bolters are 24 inches. This guy's weapon is 24 inches.
This is a heavy bolter, that's 36.
36. He's got heavy bolters, I'm sorry, at 36-inch range, and he's got a Vindicare Assassin, which has 36-inch range. But this Purgation Squad, for instance, right here, they only have 24-inch range. So if I can just play the game where they don't get to shoot at me very much, I've neutralized the fact that they've got a lot of nasty firepower in that unit. So that was kind of my goal. First thing that happened though was this guy, and this, if you'll recall the last battle report with these guys, this is a cursed rhino. It came on the table, tried to come up over here and immobilize itself. So I just popped the guys out, and they're just going to run during the shooting phase, because anytime that you attempt to move, even if you become immobilized, you count as moving. So therefore, I couldn't get out with them and then move, as per disembarking transportation rules. So shooting phase, we'll do some runs. So these guys are going to run 4 inches, tactical marines will run 2 inches. We're going to attempt to see, this guy went 12 inches. I'm going to go ahead and pop smoke with him. So we'll put a 1 on him to show that he's popping smoke. Also, Dave popped smoke with this guy. We're just going to make sure.
Which happens in the movement phase, by the way.
Yeah, make sure you're doing it in the movement phase. I usually do it near the end of movement phase. Yeah, we'll go ahead and see if I can see that thing, because I'm doubting that I'm going to have line of sight or range, because you take 2d6 times 3 is the amount that you roll, and then that equals the inches that you can see in a night fight situation. While I do have spotlights on these guys, searchlights, what the cool thing about that is, especially going second, is I can just searchlight something with impunity, because I don't have to worry about them shooting back at me, because it will be daylight. They're going to be able to see me anyway. It's not like I'm going to spotlight my guy. So I'm going to attempt with the Razorback here to see his Razorback.
It's an 8.
So 24 inches, or 8 times 3 is 24 inches. So
just
that's
outside
out.
of.
So I'm not going to see. So he doesn't get to shoot. This guy right here is going to, oh man, that's a long shot. He's going to go ahead and run. So he runs 2 inches. I'll just do that right now. He's going to move over behind and get some cover. These guys right here are going to attempt to see this unit of Marines, or sorry, Terminators.
You rolled a 6.
18. It's probably, oh man, that is an inch out. One more inch. Too bad I didn't get the average on 2 dice, which is 7. That would have been nice. So they don't get to see anything. I'm not gonna try to see anything with anyone else. I'm just gonna make my run moves, and then it will be Dave's turn too.